Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening. I am Blurry, and I am Dave Scott. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight as we continue on with a good show tonight. Am I coming back? Come on, you silly thing. We'll fix that in a minute. As we have Brian Bowden, the man with 8,422 podcasts going simultaneously. We got another surprise for you. You won't find that out until showtime. But first, we got to say hello to each and every one of you as we work through our blurriness. Why the hell is that blurry? That's pissing me off. T-Bone with a gold medal, Kitty Catwack with a silver, and Race Fan taking home a bronze medal tonight. Michael Morris, the attorney at large. How you doing tonight? As we continue on with our roll call. There we go. And moving on, we got Paramarv. How are you, buddy? Nice to have you in here early. Gear Jammers, nice to see you. Kurt M, thanks for coming on in. Tyler, how's it going tonight? As we scroll on down and say hello to Mickey G. Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Brian Bowden says, I will not do Spaced Out Radio unless Mel lubes me up. So Mel is lubing up Brian as we speak. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot, Mel, as well. You know what happens if you don't. Yeah, I know. Mama Catherine, how are you? I love you, my dear. I hope you have a great night listening to this show. I know you're the best. You are. I love you, my dear, and thank you for the warm love. Each and every morning with a text message means the world to me. It does. Scrolling on down, that's Mama Catherine. She's my Mama Catherine. And she's everybody in SOR's Mama Catherine, just to let you all know. Thunderhead, how are you? I will share her, by the way. Not much, but I will share Mama Catherine. I love you, Mama Catherine. Honest Content, how are you? Nice to see you. Werewolf is here. Werewolf will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Let's scroll on down, and we have Feed Me Seymour. How you doing, buddy? And Stephen Finnegan. Holy cow, where have you been? Where have you been? Good morning to you, Stephen Finnegan. Mark Wolf, how you doing? Nice to see you. As we scroll on down on our roll call and we say hello to Dunzel. And who is next that we say hello to? We say hello to Chris Irvin and Honest Content and Kathy Evans and the Goblin. Nice to have you both here. Excuse me, guys. Scrolling on down some more, and then a little bit more. The lovely and talented Deanna Ann. How are you, my friend? Nice to see you here tonight. As we scroll on down and we say hello next to Full Mount. How you doing? Nice to have you here. Skip to my Lou. Good morning to you. Digger Dog is here. Digger Dog will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Integrationing. Thanks for coming on in. J Truth, good to see you. Al Gray over on Twitch. So excited for Brian Bowden to be on the show that he just did 4,127 push-ups to match every podcast that Brian is broadcasting as we speak. Good job, Al Gray. Good job. Walter Kochabinski, how you doing? Nice to see you. as we scroll on down and we say hello next to JSCO and Brian Bowden in the chat room. Look at that. See, he could be on the air and in the chat room at the same time. Aussie Boss Tiger, how are you? And Dreamer Saurus, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. Nice to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Brian Bowden is here for our Cryptid World as he fills in for Varla Ventura for this month. And we're going to get going right now on our roll call on YouTube. So bear with us. Trucker Andrew, how you doing? Nice to see you. And who else do we have? We have, as we scroll on down a little more and a little bit more. The Ferret, nice to see you. We'll see you in a month at Caribou Con. And LJ, nice to have you here. Undead Jed, nice to see you. And Carol Amario, thanks for coming on in. Scrolling on down, up next we have not much more. Let's go here. It's that time of the night for all of you to throw those horns up, just like this. Just like this. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the big cabin knows. We're together, friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. You have 1 month before you got to come and get your tickets for Caribou Con right here in the heart of British Columbia. Tickets are on sale now at cariboucon.com. We have a great show tonight. It's all about monsters and legends. Brian Bowden is here for our Cryptid World, filling in for Varla Ventura. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will be here with another spooky story. Follow that up. Robin Haynes will be around for the Cryptid Q&A. So get ready. It's a show night of monsters tonight. Our guest tonight is familiar around here. Yeah, you've probably heard him once or twice, but we absolutely love it when Brian Bowden is on the air with us because he is so knowledgeable, so recognizable, and he is a very, very talented individual when it comes to everything from remote viewing to experiencer knowledge to podcasting and everything in between. He's an internationally recognized researcher, broadcaster, author, and entrepreneur exploring UFOs, cryptids, paranormal phenomena, consciousness, and everything in between. A New York City native, now living in Florida, Brian began his professional career in global finance, decided it wasn't for him on Wall Street because they couldn't find a tie big enough to get around his neck. That's a true story, by the way. Active investigator since 1977, Brian has researched Bigfoot, Dogman, UFOs, hauntings, and everything in between. He's been on numerous podcasts, television shows, and he is a good friend of us. He comes on every time we need him. Brian Bowden, it is a pleasure to have you back on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Love your opening always. So it's great. I wore a very bright shirt for you today. So
now be honest. What size necktie do you wear? Because if that was the reason you quit Wall Street, because you couldn't find a tie big enough. What's going on with that?
I'm like, I was an 18 and a half. Now I'm 17 or something like that. I don't even know. I don't wear ties anymore. I wear bow ties when I used to go to lodge every once in a while, but that's about it. And I'm one of the few people out there that knows how to tie a bow tie. So I don't need the buckle one. But yeah,
Something I never learned, how to tie a bow tie.
it's an interesting process, but basically it's like tying your shoelaces, do the bunny ears and loop, swoop, and pull. So
No,
and it comes out really nice though. But you get so many more ties that way, so it works out good.
Very nice. Very nice. It's always a pleasure when you're here because you are so versatile in the world of cryptids, monsters, legends. You focus more on Dogman and Sasquatch than anything else, but you have had ET experiences as well. There are very few multiple experiencers out there, Brian. And what I mean for our audience who may not realize or know what that means is you have had experiences with so many different parts of the phenomena. Why do you think so few people have been able to have multi layers of the phenomena from the cryptid world, the paranormal world, the near death world, the UFO and alien contact world? Why do you think so few have experienced all of them or a number of them?
Because too many people just push away what doesn't feel right to them. They're not. We always have this conversation. Not many, if any, are scientists. I studied science. I was on my way to being a scientist, but I'm not a scientist, but I know the method. And a lot of people, they won't see anything outside of, their blinders. So you got the Bigfoot people. There are flesh and blooders. Nope, it's flesh and blood. It's got to be real. It's flesh and blood, flesh and blood. And then you got the people that step out of that and keep the flesh and blood, but then they go into the what else could it be? And I was originally flesh and blood, and I had an experience that totally changed everything. And I was writing I've been writing a Bigfoot book, a Dogman book, a strange creature book, and then the UFO / whatever book. But I started writing my notes, and I started putting this chapters together. And then I saw Ron Moorhead's Quantum Bigfoot, and I was like, oh, yeah, Ron already did it. Because it's the only way to explain what was going on. There are some really great guys out there, men and women that investigate these cryptids, but they're either flesh and blood or they're woo. Now the new category is, and no disrespect to anybody, I'm a God-fearing man, ordained minister as well, but now they lump in, if it's not Jesus and angels, it's demons. You can't go and investigate this stuff if you're too religious on add too much religion in there. I think religion is a huge key for people, especially for protection purposes, no matter if you're investigating thank you very much. No matter if you're investigating ghosts or cryptids or UFOs, whatever, your faith is really key. But once you put blinders on or keep it in a box this big, you don't realize this world of cryptids and UFOs and extraterrestrials and all this crazy stuff. It's a lot wider, and there's a connection that runs through it. There's a common thread.
Brian Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Brian, that common thread is a rarity, and the phenomena, I believe, picks and chooses who it allows to see and what they aren't allowed to see. I know I've had that played in front of me numerous times, and I don't agree with it. It kind of upsets me, but it's the will of what the phenomena is. When you started realizing that there was a common thread between the cryptid world, UFO world, the psychic world, the paranormal world, how did that change your perspective of the entire phenomena?
So I've had the same experiences where I'm out on an investigation and one person's getting the visual and we're looking at the same thing and I'm missing it for whatever reason. And it's really terrible to be on that end of that spectrum. But I think they do that purposely to test individuals' fortitude, how their psychological handling of something this outside of the norm will be taken. And that's changed. I've come up with a theory because I've actually tried to practice that. I started out primarily in New York State. We have interactions with several different sized Bigfoots in that area. They know us. You have a gifting set. We did a little gifting, more cat toys than anything else. They know that we're there. We don't mention it, but they know we're coming, and they start throwing the rocks. And it's not the hard rock throws. They can take you out in a heartbeat. It's the pebbles, like, we know you're here. Oh, look, he's here. And when I've gone on other Bigfoot expeditions or research throughout the country, I think there is a central network or database or an Akash record that they tap into, and they know your energy. They know the electronic signature you're pumping out, because we all have electromagnetic waves going through us, kind of like our cell phones. And when I've gotten to a few locations, it's only I'm getting the same type of hello. I'm getting the little acorns thrown on my car or at me or on my tent. And it's like, they know I'm here. And I get this overwhelming feeling that they know I'm here. I can't explain it. It's just a knowing. Some people can't, they're so deep in their constraints, or they put an anchor in so quickly, and they have to, as if you really want to conduct science, you have all these hypotheses, that come out, and then you take in the stuff that you normally wouldn't think of, throw it up there. And when you have an experience with something, you check off the box. But those hypotheses may be checked off, but you got 5 more coming. So it gets a little bit weird on that end of it. But I think there's a knowing of who you are. And they know, oh, it's Dave Scott. They don't know your name. They know your smell. They know your electric signature. You're a unique identifier. And they're like, oh, yeah, these guys are okay. Let's go check them out. And I think that it's almost like a common collective. All of them know, oh, that's Dave. So if you came down to Florida and we went Bigfooting down here researching, I could take a couple of great spots down here. In the last spot, we did doing it all night. I sat in my car. It was way too hot. It's like 100% humidity right now. And we were hiking for 7 miles, and I'm like, I'm not getting my tent. I sat in my car. I went to sleep in my car. My car is one of those that after about 30 minutes, it goes, it dings and says, we're shutting this off in 30 seconds. So you have to press the button. So after the first one, I kind of slept a little bit. I had it started to build condensation on the windows. The second one happened. I went ding, and I kind of turned my head to look, rested on the right side. And I'm looking out the passenger window, and all I saw was the breath come down the window. And it was a nice breath. And I'm like, oh my God, it's watching me sleep here. So I put my hand on my EDC. I had it there. And I literally said out loud, you can watch me all you want, big boy. I'm going to bed. And I went to bed. And only lasted a couple hours. And then when I got up, I found knuckle prints, 2 of them right at the passenger window. And it was so tight, I couldn't get in there I didn't have a plaster or anything to make a cast of it, but they were about double, if not 2.5 of mine. Huge knuckle prints. And he or she was breathing down the window. So I think that, and prior to that, like when I set up my tent, I was the only one getting the acorns. So I think they know you. And some people just go in with an attitude that's the wrong attitude. They're not prepared for what you're going to encounter. And I've realized that anything can happen. It depends on what you're going to look for, but anything can happen there out in the field.
Brian Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I got an incident that happened here. I don't know if it was much an incident than it was imagination, Brian. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. So a couple weeks ago, we were out at our spot
Mm-hmm.
and it felt really, really uncomfortable. Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't even unpack our gear. We didn't unpack and set up our camp. No lawn chairs, nothing. It was just like, it felt like, hey, we got to be ready to go at a moment's notice here. And our whole 7 miles an hour that we're going to be traveling out of the forest, because it is a bumpy road to get there.
Yeah.
You know, if we got to do it, we got to do it. Right. But it just did not feel comfortable. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is we were only there a couple of hours, and near the end of hour 2, I was sitting on a log. So I wanted to sit down, but I didn't want to bring out one of my lawn chairs. So I'm sitting on this log that has had like a seat cut out of it.
Right.
And I have my back to the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting creeped out because I kept having these vivid imagination looks that something was going to rush up behind me and either grab me or take me. And Brian, my research partner, wouldn't even know. So I called Brian over. I told him what was going on after a few minutes of this. And he sat facing the forest beside me. I was looking the opposite direction. And of course, nothing happened. But I'll tell you, man, I don't know why that scared me so much. What do you think happened?
It's interesting how I operate. I can connect to what was going on in the area, and you are 100% correct. You had something creeping up on you, and it was if I'm looking at you, it was coming from the left side, and it was a newcomer to the area that did not know you, did not want you to be there, and was like, I'm going to teach you a lesson type of thing, in my opinion. And when it saw that your other partner kind of came in, the odds were not in its favor, even though it probably just dispatched both of you in a split second. But sometimes if you get a newcomer or the young ones come in and they're filled with, vinegar and whatever, they start to challenge more. And I think they cycle certain areas. So whoever was there was out doing whatever they were doing, and this may be a newcomer into the pod. I'm going to use the term pod now instead of and they were like, you watch the camp, we're going to go get some food type of thing. They didn't want you there. I also think you had some young in the area, and they don't want you when they have a younger Sasquatch or creatures in the area like that. They really don't want you there. It doesn't matter who you are. So they will get very aggressive, and you'll also get that that crazy vibe that this is not good. That's your psychic abilities, your sixth sense kicking and saying, you need to get in the car and go home now. And then if you pushed it too far, it could have gotten bad for you. And both of you.
We didn't push it.
Yeah.
Our gifting site was an absolute mess.
Yep. New guy.
And I'll tell you, it's an interesting vibe out there. You know, like when we were out there last weekend, and I'm going to talk to Robin about this a little bit later on, but I'll fill you.
Sure.
We got 5 minutes to go. Our cameras had been out there a week. They caught us coming in, or pardon me, setting them up.
Okay.
Okay. They caught us coming back. There was nothing in between for a week, and yet there were items moved at our gifting site. Have you had this happen before?
Yeah.
On 2 cameras, Brian. Not 1, 2.
It's actually very simple for them to do it. They know where the cameras are. These creatures, this is what I'm telling you, there is a universal, we'll call it a database or a cloud, and they know, like, if one sees it, they all see it. If one knows it, that once they start getting in touch with that data, they know what a camera is. They know how to operate a camera. They watch you every time you are going. Dave, when you are saying to your buddy, hey, let's go out to the woods, they know you're planning that. They tap into the consciousness level of humanity and everything else that's out there. They know you're coming. Some of them will be really excited. They'll like, oh, they're coming out. That's good, because he'll probably bring more peanut butter, so that looks good, whatever. But they know how to mess with the cameras. They can play with them. A lot of Bigfoot love, this is the greatest thing in the world. They'll come up behind it and they'll turn it the other direction. And I know tons of researchers that are out there. I've had that happen to me. We put a camera in, it's facing this direction. The next thing you know, it's like it's turned, or it's a lot higher and we can't even get to it. So they also, I think they can play around with the electronics in there, draining some of the battery or camouflaging that way. So they drain it and you're not going to see them. But like I said before, and I've said this to numerous people, I think we're getting closer to the ability of creating a quantum-based filter, kind of like what you get on Snapchat. I make these stupid videos for my kid all the time, my kids. I send it to them. I do different characters on there, whatever. I think you're going to have an ability to take some of this old footage that you have where you say, hey, we've got nothing here. And you're going to be able to slide it into a filter or a program. And you're going to see, oh my God, my grandmother was there. My mom's here. Aunt blah, blah, blah is here, or whatever. Because it's going to be able to start seeing into that level, or the wavelengths that humans can't see. It's going to be able to fine tune it, kind of like a stereo. And that's what they do this all the time. But I really do believe you have a new character out there, and they're feeling their oats, and they're very aggressive. So I'm thinking they're younger, probably a teenager, a hooligan hanging out, and has brass, in his pocket, and he's trying to prove himself for probably mating purposes or his worth. That's my sense that I'm getting on.
It coincides with what Robin Haynes said. Robin Haynes said the regulars that were there, she said she felt like they were in a position for war because a strange creature was coming in and they didn't like it. So the fact that you are now saying that there was a strange creature new to the area,
Yep,
is exactly what she said.
It's just, I'm going to tell you it's a male. This is the vibe I'm getting off of what you were there, because you can pick up on this energy. It's a male, and it's that age, it's kind of like those really nasty teenagers that, 16, 17, 18, think they're God's gift to the planet, and they challenge everybody. But that's in their nature. That is the animalistic nature within them. They don't know better. And the other ones are like, yeah, let him sow his oats. We're going to stay back from this because he may get us in trouble. They know what happens if something goes down. They know it's not going to be good for them as well. And I believe some of them move out of the area. I think it's like, like Pod A comes in and does their thing. They know you, and they're primarily there. That's their hunting ground for whatever. And then every once in a while you get, like, as they get children, they drop off their marrying age, whatever that may be, and they continue on and, like, go find yourself a mate. You now have to be your own pod. And then eventually something in your original pod that you've had a relationship with, they'll meet the male and they'll couple, get together. They'll have children, and then it'll slowly, transition to two of them. Yep.
All right, Brian, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Brian Bowden is here tonight on our Cryptid World, filling in for Varla Ventura, who is vacationing. Bryan is an experiencer. He's extremely knowledgeable in the world of monsters and legends, and that continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we're clear, buddy.
Yeah, Walter, it is a young punk. This happens all the time. It happens more than you know. So it's just, that's when it gets really dangerous. Not to say it's not dangerous when you have full size Bigfoot at or within your area. You know, again, rather see a Bigfoot than a Dogman, and sure as heck want to rather see those two instead of a pale crawler, creepy crawler, rake, whatever you want to call them. At this point. But yeah, there's always someone that wants to start stuff. That's what happens. And you can feel it. You can feel in the air, the whole atmosphere changes. Some people aren't in tune with it though. Like was the other Bryan in tune with it? Or
he's like, working on it. He's struggling with it right now.
It's too much of life taking over him. So he's going to he'll figure it out.
Yeah, he'll get it.
It'll happen in a moment. Yeah, it'll happen. And he's going to have a holy moment. Yeah. And then you're going to be like, welcome to the club.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen is I think something's going to happen when we're out there. And not in a negative way.
No.
He's going to see something.
They're going to remember him and they'll initiate him into the group.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little bit of a Bigfoot hazing, you know, if they were fraternities. Right? Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it.
But it's really cool when you start knowing this and you go in there and you start getting a bunch of that stuff. You just like I was in Tennessee the other day, like a week ago, whatever. And you just like get into an air and you're like, oh, you can feel the vibe there. You're like, they come through here. And I asked a couple of guys at the Tennessee Wildman Conference. I'm like, what about this? You know, and I asked the specific area. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've seen a couple there. I'm like, you can feel it. It's almost like they leave like an energy print or, you know, some gas, we'll just say. So they fart in the room before leaving the area. And you're like, yeah, something's here. You just know they're going to come back to that.
It's definitely going to be, like for Bryan, it's going to be an eye opener. I think that's what he is waiting for right now. Hold on. Dirty Filth is texting me. Hello, Dirty.
Hello, Dirty. Gotta have him back on as a co-host.
Dave. Hello, Sir Bryan Bowden.
Hello, sir. I gotta order. We gotta go through the whole process of getting me ordering book 2.
I think we'll be fine.
Okay, but
I have to give the cat snacks. It's very important.
Not a problem with that, but make sure you get the pricing for the postage because I got a bill for that last time. No, don't worry about it. But I'd rather just pay it outright up front.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Beth Noise, how are you? I'm going to sneeze, Bryan. Hold on.
God bless you. Trevor Manatee. I'm in Florida. We have tons of manatee.
All right. Beautiful Beth Noise has joined the chat room tonight. Let's see here. Walter Kochabinski kicking in on the super chat.
Stickers. I love super stickers. We get. I'm now whatever monetized, and you know, it's never expected, but always appreciated. So I thank everybody that follows and comes in.
Right.
So yeah. Hey, Blue Cruise. Good to see you. It's great. The only thing really weird that happened lately, kind of cryptid related, well, not really. When I was in the hotel leaving to go to Tennessee, there was I just got the vibe off this guy. This guy's a serial killer. And he was weird and he was swimming in the pool. And I'm like, I'm going to take a picture of this guy without him knowing. And I did. And that guy, if you look at the picture, he's staring at me.
Weird.
So, yeah, it was kind of like
it rubs the lotion on its skin.
That's right. Yanni, how you doing? Hey, guys, I want to say thank you to T-Bone. Thank you to Mickey and Walter for the super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on a nightly basis here on the show. We are coming back in 5 seconds. This is the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking monsters tonight, Our Cryptid World with Bryan Bowden. We're having a lot of fun with the man with a multi-universe podcast that he has broadcasting all at once. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Bryan Bowden is here, the man from Third Eye Live podcast on YouTube. He is a man of many talents when it comes to the weird, the strange, the tinfoil. And Bryan, thank you so much for being here.
it is an absolute pleasure and an honor to be on Spaced Out Radio.
Cryptids that I think about that we don't talk much about anymore. Chupacabra. What happened to Chupacabra? You go back 10 years, Chupacabra is everywhere. He's robbing babies from their lollipops. He is and leaving the lollipop, taking the babies, by the way. That's why I said it that way. He's stealing little piglets from the farm. He's stealing chickens. He's going after horses and cattle. And now all of a sudden, poof, there is no more Chupacabra reports anymore.
I was going to go look for it, but I'm not going to be able to find it. Got pictures of a Chupacabra skeleton in New Jersey. The guy was uncovering, trying to do some work on the property. Latin man bought the property, uncovered the skull. And this was way, way, way back before all the AI stuff and, the BS. They were actual photos of a Chupacabra skeleton. That being said, I think that I think that expanding upon where people are living is getting rid of some of the habitats of these creatures. And that's why there's a lot more sightings of cryptids throughout the US and Canada. Human beings are moving out. And you're taking out some of their regions. So they either, they don't have the food source or they disappear and they move on to different areas. I don't really take a look at what's going on in South America too much. But there may be a lot more reports down there about the Chupacabra. But haven't looked into it.
I mean, Puerto Rico is said to have a number of them. Mexico, Texas, all around that southern panhandle there. I mean, it just seems like all of a sudden they vanished. Like we're just not getting the reports anymore. Do you think it's because people are just not reporting them, or maybe the creatures moved into different areas?
I think the creature may have moved underground or different areas. But there's a little bit of something in the back of my head that's saying, what if this is something that was created, a legend or a folklore, and to do a certain type of, stopping people from crossing the border, for example, into the U.S. And they throw the chupacabra legend out there, and then let the imagination run wild, or topas that people think of something so much, put so much energy into it that they actually are creating these creatures. But maybe now, with the world being a bit crazy in multiple different countries, especially on North and South America, they don't have time to focus on the chupacabra because there's other things taking place that are more important. So I don't know. I mean, I can, if when we go to the next break, I'll do my best to show you a picture of a chupacabra.
Yeah, our radio audience will have a tough time seeing that.
I know, but we can describe the jaw.
You can pass it on to me. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I will take that on. What about Thunderbirds? Now, I'm not saying the United States Air Force Thunderbirds here. Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
But Thunderbirds, the giant 40-foot bird. This one I don't believe is here. This one is hard for me. I believe pterodactyls are here more so than the Thunderbird. What's your thoughts on where the Thunderbird is?
It's interesting because I thought the pterodactyl stuff was a little bit weird, maybe people making it up, until I saw one fly across right in front of my car as I was leaving Alabama going into Georgia last September-ish. And I
remember because you called me.
Dude, I've never, it was like,
tell that story for our audience before we go.
So I was doing a presentation at the Crossing Realms conference in Richmond, Missouri. Mickey G was there and her son. Great to meet them, and a bunch of other people in chat. And when I was coming back, I didn't necessarily want to go through the dirty South. I wanted to stay on an interstate. But they took me through like some of the straight up country roads, rural roads, 2 lanes, sometimes it's 55, sometimes 65. And I'm just driving real slow because I still have a license on my car from New York and it goes back to the Bronx. So they're like, what is a Bronx guy doing out here? Most likely they think it's illicit drugs or something, which I do not do. So I'm going slow. And as the sun is starting to set, I am on a 2-lane road with, you can't even pull off on this thing. It is such a deep gully on the side of the road that's right there to catch rainwater because you're coming down a hill, that I would need a tow truck to pull out. If I tried to, I'd flip my car. And as I'm driving down this road, and I'm very, very focused because I'm looking for Cooter and, Sheriff, Boss Hog or whatever from Dukes Hazzard to give me a ticket. This thing, I see it, it flies up from my left side. I'm looking at this thing, and it's a pterodactyl. It has the long beak, the little back portion that comes out. It's darker on the top, but the bottom it's lighter. It's almost green, like a frog, and has these dots on it. The wings are, they kind of come to a point, like a triangle. And I'm just like, as soon as it came, it went, and I had a car behind me and I couldn't stop. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope I got that on my dash camera. And I happened to not get it on my dash camera because it does like a 3 or 5 minute recording, and then it starts recording again. And that split second, 1 to 2 seconds, is all you need to miss something when it comes to cryptids. And that's what happened. But went right across my car. And then when I did another conference in Alabama last March, January, end of January, I met a woman who said, "You're the one that saw the pterodactyl." I'm like, "Who are you?" It comes out of nowhere. She was in the similar area, border between Alabama and Georgia, rural road. Her and her fiance were driving through. They saw it. They said it, and she was describing it like kind of like a burst of light. It came in, it flew by, and then a burst of light again. And almost like it was coming in and out of, like, I guess, a portal or something like that. They both said, let's go draw you draw what you saw and I'll draw what I saw. And they both drew it. He was a very religious Christian believing person, born again. And he drew it. He drew exactly what he saw. And he just couldn't wrap his mind around it because it doesn't go with the Bible for him. So eventually what happens, they broke up, but they both drew a pterodactyl. And
Really?
from that, yeah, and they broke up. They were together for the longest time. They were engaged to be married, actually. And it kind of messed with his faith because the Bible doesn't go into dinosaurs. And so he didn't know how to handle it. And it was weird for him. But yeah, they saw it and she was explaining to me. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy. But as far as when you mentioned Thunderbirds,
right?
Someone actually says, what if the Thunderbird is a pterodactyl? Two different type of wingspans. A Thunderbird has more of a wingspan that is, more rectangle. Pterodactyl goes to a point in general. And the only thing I did see is, I forgot what race it was, one of those NASCAR races. And they had a shadow hitting down on the road, the trackway. And it went from the trackway from one end into the pit area. It's wide enough area there. And it had that Thunderbird-esque type of look to the shadow. So we do have a gigantic, some kind of bird in the area. And that may be mistaken as the Thunderbird, or maybe we do have a Thunderbird there. People are seeing these things. So, unless you're consuming alcohol, drugs, or on prescription medicine or something to that effect, they're definitely seeing something. So it's like, why not? But when I saw the video, I'm like, oh my God, that's the outline of a Thunderbird. It was ginormous. Even the announcer's like, what bird is casting this shadow? And yes, depending on the distance and the lighting, it could look bigger. But I mean, this was significantly big. So that bird it would have easily covered one of the cars with its body in the shadow. So
Do you think then if the Thunderbird is real, how big would the nest be? Now, here's what I think. I want to pose this to you.
Mhm.
I think people who claim to have seen it were looking into a different dimension. That's what I think happened.
That is so let's go back to that pterodactyl story I told you from the eyewitnesses, the husband or the fiancés. They mentioned they saw like this bluish flash. I don't know about Thunderbirds, but that very well could be a portal opening up or a different dimension, going from one point into another, to our timeline and back into the other timeline. And the same thing could happen with the Thunderbirds. But we don't necessarily, their nest may be the top of trees, right? So some of these trees are ginormous on top of there that would actually probably hold a Thunderbird on top of it. We don't necessarily see the tops of trees that much.
But a 40-foot bird, Brian, 40-foot bird would be caught on radar.
Well, here's the thing. It should be caught on radar. But again, this goes back into the NASA stuff. There's a ton of stuff that, there are people that literally all they do is watch the feed from the ISIS, and they're waiting for that UFO anomaly to cut the feed, splice that out, and then put the feed back up. So we may have people in the radar, business of watching the radars. It's all government related, that have seen this, and they just like cut the feed. Don't put that in there. And I think sometimes they do miss something like that. But I'm not opposed to the a portal or a dimension opening up for a whatever second, something coming in and out. I mean, that's very, very plausible. You know, it depends. I'd have to be there. I'd love to see one.
Oh, so would I. So
Yeah.
would I. But and I'm going to sound gross here for a second, but that thing would has to go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, you don't want it hitting your car.
A bird that size is going to paint a house. It's going to paint a car. It's going to paint a building. It's going to paint a very, very long row of trees. Okay. I mean, think about when you see a water bomber going in, dropping the fire retardant.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to see from this thing.
Yeah, but we don't. Granted, we have satellites. Granted, we have NexRad, which is radar for the most part. Then we have air traffic control. We have NORAD, which that would be classified if they see something like that. There very well may be moments of these things doing that, and you just don't realize you're walking through a swamp of whatever, Thunderbird poop. But I mean, who knows? One day it may drop on someone's car or a roadway or something, and they'll probably blame it on an airline. Oh, the airline's discharging their restrooms. That happens quite often, actually. Sometimes airplanes discharge their holding tanks before coming in, and people have had it hit their houses, hit their cars.
Yes.
But I like the portal theory because I think they do pop up here and there. And we should probably do a map of where the relationship to Thunderbird sightings and magnetic anomalies within the surface of the area. Because I think magnetic anomalies play a huge part in why some of these events take place where they are.
Brian Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Whatever happened to trolls under the bridge? Why don't we ever get any good trolls under the bridge stories anymore?
Probably got booted out by those Easy Pass people. Listen, we're using electronic devices now. We don't need you here. There's a lot more there's a lot more fairy elemental sightings being taking place. A lot of people are seeing them. Very recently, there was a report of where was it? Garden gnomes. This was August 8th in 2026 in Sydney, Australia. Outside of home, garden gnomes. I know. He's the principal of Triangle Media. He did a movie with actually Ron Moorhead, Sierra Sounds or something similar to that. He sent me a video. He says we were shooting in this forest area, and he goes, I caught this, and he sent me this, and it's clearly a wood nymph. It's the weirdest looking thing in the world.
What did it look like?
It didn't have like a rounded head. It had it was straight, like a straight top, and then on the sides it went down a little bit before it angled back in. Bizarre.
Kind of like a 2x4.
Yeah, it was weird. It was kind of like that, the head, and it was very, very quick, and didn't see the eyes on it whatsoever, but it blended in perfectly that you wouldn't see it. But we went slow, and we're like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing right there.
I've seen one. Did you know I've seen one?
You have?
Yeah.
It blends
this going back about 10 years ago. My son was 3. Him and I were walking one of the trails. We got a couple of lakes around our place.
Right.
And I had him in a stroller because it was bear season. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was 3 years old. We decided we were going to go walk and get some of these geocaches that were along the trail.
Love that.
And we come up on this hill, and on the left there is a drop about 50, 60 feet, maybe 40 feet to the lake. But it's like a steep decline into the lake.
Right.
It's not like a cliff, but so we find the geocache. I put him back in the stroller, and we're about to get going. And all of a sudden, this little thing, it looks like a rotted 2x4, about
Yeah, they're not that big.
about 18, 20 inches, 24 inches tall. And it's got these little arms, and it looks like a cartoon. It's got these little arms with little hands and little feet. Now, to put an impression in your head about it, if you're a South Park fan, imagine Towley.
Okay,
All
I know
right.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, except without the doobie hanging from its mouth.
Yeah.
All right. But if you imagine Towley, but about 18 inches tall, 20 inches tall, and it comes walking up right onto the trail from that
Didn't
from
even
the
realize you were there.
decline going down to the lake. And the one thing that I remember about it, I didn't see a face. There was no head on it. Okay. And it's just do like strutting. And all of a sudden it stopped. It looked at my son and I and took off back down the hill.
Right, real quick, right?
Extremely fast, like bullet fast. And here's the other interesting part about it, Brian, is it was blurry.
Yeah, it's always out of focus.
Yeah, it was out of focus.
So something similar. Well, this is a little bit in the apartment in the Bronx. One bathroom, sitting there, trying to go to the bathroom, and then right next to me is a sink, pedestal sink, so you can see underneath, then a tub, 7 stories up. And I'm kind of looking, straight ahead. I'm looking whatever, my phone or whatever, and I see this like a flash went off.
Yeah.
So I kind of, as I turn to look to the direction, it's just below the sink, hovering in the middle of nothing. This little thing opens up midair with like a little blue around it. And I see this little thing come out, turns his head, sees me. I'm seeing this. This is all about 3 seconds. Has like a weird nose, kind of like it's long and rounded, and has these little almost antennae on the top of the head, but it does has features. And it gives me the blank, and instantaneously I see it go, and it disappears. And I'm like, did that just happen? And I'm looking, put my hand through there, and I'm like, all right, I must have imagined that. I did not imagine it. I don't use active imagination in what I do, but that literally happened in my house. And I kid you not, it was about, if it was 2 inches, it would be tall. The head, and it was just like 3/4 of the body. And it peeked in and went like do, like, oh my God. And then it was gone. It's bizarre. And then of course I showed on the show, my daughter had a fairy land on her finger. That was fun.
Where does this speed come from with them?
Well, they're magical, right? So they can appear and disappear in a split second. I just think that they operate on a totally different type of plane of existence, where the gravity or everything is sped up so much that they're just really quick because they have to. It's a survival thing. I'm sure they have their own predators too. So it's just kind of like, it's super, I can't explain how fast these things move. Maybe it's a magic. I don't know. I have no idea.
Magic would be, I think, the correct term for it. I mean, because when this thing stopped and looked at us and then took off down that hill,
Yep.
Like, I didn't even bother looking for it because I wouldn't have seen it. I would not have seen it. So it just makes it so much more interesting, when you think that there are potentially creatures like that out there dwelling in the forest. Brian, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're already through 1 hour of our cryptid world with Brian Bowden filling in for Barla Ventura on Spaced Out Radio. The Monster Talk continues, audience questions as well. Stay tuned for hour 2. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. Hello, Dirty.
Do that voodoo that you do so well.
It's been so long, he can't figure out his mute button. Hello,
You know,
mute,
cool.
Dirty.
I can do something that Dirty Filth can do right now.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll show you, Dirty.
There he goes.
Ready?
Hold on a second. What?
I can just switch my camera to this. And I have a document camera now. See? I can.
I don't have my monocle on, so I can't read that.
You don't have to have your monocle on. I use it for my
still
show.
Can't read it.
Yeah. I put my tarot cards down there. Or my oracle card. So it's fun.
Well, great. I appreciated that you mentioned that golden fairy.
Yeah,
Huge
it
meme.
was. It was the craziest thing in the world. But it kind of explains my youngest, because there's something about this kid that, like, I don't know. She's told me some stuff that blows my mind, even as an investigator of this stuff. Especially like when I'm like, I was with your grandmother before I came here. I'm like, what? And she was spot on about the annoyingness of my grandmother that she would do, which was humming. She goes, I said, you were? And she's like, yeah, I was. And she goes, but she does something I like with her mouth. I'm like, what is it? She goes, my eyes went, holy crap. She was with my grandmother. Don't have pictures of her. Don't talk about her. Does the kid know? No.
That's cool stuff, and
It is.
You can't deny that kind of stuff is actually. Hello, whiskey. You can't deny something like that. Hello, whiskey.
Whiskey.
I think I have to pet the old grouchy old bag. She's
Whiskey,
grumpy.
go.
Sorry if she's. Anyways,
Yeah.
as I said a million times, that golden fairy, I seen that same thing, and I'll say it a million times, and I've told this story, and I always mention you, and then I was kind of plug your stuff too and whatnot, but when you shared that photo, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago or whatever, of that golden fairy, that is the exact same color, the exact same thing that I seen that fell from my windowsill into the hosta plant. And I had a giant garden at the time. It fell right into the garden, and my cousin was facing me, and we were shooting the breeze. And
right
when it just appeared, it was instant. It appeared and it fell straight down. It didn't flutter or nothing. It just appeared and it fell straight down into where the hosta or hosta, whatever, I'm not sure the wording. I'm going to call it hosta because it fell into the hosta plant, and that was it. And he seen the yellow golden glow on me. The light emanated. It wasn't just like me. It emanated, and he seen it. And I was mid speech, and I stopped for a second. I go, and I said, "Did you see that?" He goes, "No, but you went gold for a second."
Yeah.
And so whatever. I'm a very rational guy. If the puck goes over the line, it goes in. But he's seen like that the color on me without actually seeing what had created that color.
It
So
was reflecting off of you. And yeah,
yes, that's the
you know,
and it was weird. And but just 1 second here. He
sure.
goes, should we go and look for it? I go, nah, we'll leave it alone. We left it there. And that night before he was leaving, it may have been a mouse, but I seen something scurry and it was gray.
Right.
Okay, and all intents purposes, I had about 75 whiskeys in me, but I was looking out the door before the cab came and picked him up, and I swear I seen this little tiny like humanoid, like 6-7 inch figure run from the right to my left across the little tiny yard I used to live in, and it jumped onto the fence and it just swooped over real quick. And it may have been a mouse because I've seen a mouse do some pretty athletic things in my time.
Same here.
Don't really have rats in Alberta, so there's a big difference between a mouse and a rat. And
Yeah.
I've known that because I've lived in BC, and I know the difference of size, but of sizes between mice and rats.
Yeah.
So yes.
Um,
Anyways, rambling away here. Go ahead.
No. What was interesting is when I first saw it and I zoomed in on it, I just thought Jiminy Cricket or Tinkerbell or along that lines. Because that's exactly it's like, and I'm not a Disney guy, but that's the coloration of what this being was.
Okay, guys, 20 seconds. Sorry to bug you.
Yeah, no.
Oob to Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Thank you to T-Bone, Mickey G, Walter, Matthew, and Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you for the super chats. Thank you to Dirty Filth for finally dropping on by. Here we go, everyone. Let's go to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Brian Bowden is our guest for our Cryptid World. We're talking monsters all night long. But first, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Bathophobia. Bathophobia, yeah, it's a thing. It is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, and let's go between Brian Bowden and myself because it's monster time. And Brian, it is always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Thank you for doing it.
It is my pleasure, my friend. My pleasure.
Now, we've been talking about monsters that haven't been seen in a long time. You know, we were talking about trolls under the bridge, but you brought up gnomes, and a lot of people still claim to have contact with gnomes, fairies, gnomes in their gardens, around their yards. You know, my area where I live, almost every house that is here that is 40 plus years old has a fairy garden. You know, I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's really, really interesting. I don't know the full heritage of your area, but when you get into the Netherlands, for example, and certain parts of the world over in Europe, they literally will build roads around fairy gardens. Matter of fact, in Ireland, people are very cautious to let their animals, graze, as well as to do any type of planting if they see a fairy ring or that setup going on. That could be mushrooms, that could be certain plant or fauna, like little ones that come up and it's just white. I've actually said it a couple times. There's across the street from our house is these things just popped up, and it's not mushrooms, it's these little white plants And I'm like, I pulled my dog away from there as he was walking towards it. I'm like, no. That's a fairy. That's a fairy circle. You don't do that. But what's really crazy is, and this is, I'm trying to wrap my mind around how it happened. I saw something. Gentleman has a young daughter, and she wanted a fairy door. So he's like, yeah, okay. So they painted. It was like a DIY project. They made a little doorway, and they put it on the little area by her bed, which is just before the window. It was kind of like a rectangle there, column type of thing with some molding on it. They put it on top of the molding, and she kept her fairy door there. So the fairies would come in, and she would come out after a while and said, the fairy keeps me up at night. And the dad's like, okay, maybe this is a bad idea. She goes, no, Daddy. Comes in, and she's young. So he starts filming her when she's in the room, and there's a fairy that comes out of that door.
Oh, way.
I wish I could. You could probably find it on YouTube, and it's very, very small. It's a bit lit up, like I was talking with Filthy about it. There's a certain yellow colorization that's very much like Jiminy Cricket and Tinkerbell type of thing, like those moments. And there's this thing that comes out like palish or gray in color, comes out, walks around, moves something, and then goes back in the door. So they've even put it's. I don't know if that is. I don't know why that happens. There are other stories of fairy doors and things they've heard knocking on it. Is the point of the intention of putting a door there for a fairy to come out, allow it through the universe for the door to actually become a portal that is usable for some of these beings that exist in the mystical zone to actually open the door and come out.
I have often wondered where they are and how they do that, because apparently you don't even need to dig a hole into the tree or the ground. Just put a door up next to a tree or into a nice area, and that's going to give them enough room to use their magic in order to fly on out of that door.
And I think it has to do with the intention. Literally, I can take this box right here, tarot card box. I can paint this and make it look like a door. Paint it on the front of it. I can put a door handle right here, whatever. I can even cut a little bit over here so that it does open like a door. I can put it on a shelf and say, that's my fairy door. And I don't know if they're going to come into my house at this point, but maybe they would. And personally, I don't want to test that. I don't want that to come into my house because I don't know, are you a good fairy or you're a bad fairy? I don't know the full spectrum of fairies. But that would be a great test to do. Actually, I may do that. I may set up, give someone a mock door and say, I want you to put this on your shelf and videotape it and see if something comes out of it. I think everything we do in life is intention. I've done this because I do active intelligent encounters. I don't do CE5s. And contrary to the opinion of Dr. Greer, you didn't invent it. It's been invented a while ago. So I always use an active intelligent encounter protocols. The first protocol I wrote down for those is intention is everything. You don't have the right intention, it's not going to happen. You don't take you're calling on UFOs seriously when you're there, you're not going to get that interaction with them. I've seen it. I did a CE5 up in Pine Bush, second time I did it. And I brought my daughter with me, and she was taking pictures and videotaping while I was up doing my little speech or whatever. And we started to get craft on left and right side. And they were kind of coming up, peaking, going down. And we had one woman who was just obnoxious beyond belief. Come on, aliens, come on, ET. And we're like, and I'm saying, listen, we've got to take this seriously. Don't antagonize them. and she's laughing and having a great time because it was during the lockdowns. We were doing this outside, and they wouldn't appear. They only appeared on peripheral, but they weren't going to come closer. And let me tell you something, when that event was over, all these people that are there are pretty good, nice, warm people, humans, you know. They all wanted to unalive this woman. It was like, we need to tie her up. I'm like, back up.
Right.
Yeah, they were, because their intention was to have that experience. I think this person's intention was, I'm going to get out of my house for a few minutes. I'm going to drink something and have a great time. And she didn't realize she ruined it for the 70 plus people that were there. So I think intention's important. So if you intentionally want a fairy to come into your house, actually, I've got a great idea. Maybe Chet would agree with me. Let's put a fairy door right above that Bigfoot light behind you and invite the fairy with the intention of, would you please come out and join us for Spaced Out Radio, and see if that fairy comes out.
That'd be an interesting test to see if that actually happens.
Yeah. And literally put a fairy door in there. Make one with, you can do with popsicle sticks, or you can buy a little door, put it up there, and say, this is a fairy door, and you're welcome to come into the studio when we're on the air anytime you want. That wouldn't be a bad idea. The fairy Spaced Out Radio studio door. But
I'll try and figure that out.
yeah. And I think you don't have to hammer it up to the wall. You can put like that sticky stuff up there, pop it there. But if that door opens up one day, remember where it started, right here. And if it does, I'm going to ask everybody that is in chat right now, that is listening live, as well as on the replay, on the archives of Spaced Out Radio. If a fairy appears in one of those doors, that door opens up, there's a fairy in there. Like, it physically has to be there. Like, you can see it. Send this man a $5 super sticker. How about that? That's a lot of people.
Let's see if it happens. I might actually look for a door. Might go down to the garden store
right now.
Look for a door.
Yeah. And I don't think it could be, I mean, it could be you could draw it on a piece of paper and stick a piece of paper there and then cut the door out. So it, you know, what we used to do when we were old, you know, you kind of make a card out of it. So you take a piece of paper, cut out a door, a C, and then make it look like a door and close it, put it against the wall, even in an open frame right there. And you have the fairy door, Spaced Out Radio Fairy. Welcome to the studio anytime. That could be pretty awesome. That would be really cool.
That's completely awesome.
Because that would bug out every guest. You have, like, Dave, you have something coming out of the door, the wall over there above the foot.
You know what's funny is going back a number of years ago,
right? People
who were watching on YouTube actually used to be able to see these orbs flying around me. And it hasn't happened in a long time, but there used to be a bunch of orbs through here. And when I had my studio set up a little bit differently, my back was towards, I have a Canadian flag that I use as a curtain on my studio window because I'm kind of patriotic that way.
Yeah.
And one night, it looked like somebody was at my window with a flashlight.
Really?
And you could see through the flag that there was like this white orb going back and forth. So I snuck outside one night when this was happening, because I thought it was a buddy of mine who just maybe got off shift, working the night shift at the local mill. And
Dave tonight.
And when I went up there was nobody there. And it did not happen after that.
So I don't think I actually, well, let me reiterate. I actually think you had orbs coming around you, because I remember seeing some of those shows. I usually, when I started using the VCam AI background, where I can change my background to whatever I want, I didn't get as many of those because there's an image that appears over here. But when I'm using the normal camera, no image behind me, you can see all the junk that's behind me. Um, I have had orbs. Someone saw something that looked like the Predator cloaked walking behind me, and I rewound it, and I could see it. It was like the Predator. It was like invisible. If you were in, a cloak that made you invisible, like Harry Potter had. I've seen this before, and I think when I used to watch constantly the show before I had kids, or when I wasn't going to be dad for those times, I can hear you also used to get EVPs. I used to get them too. I get it every once in a while. This is a brand new microphone. Brand spanking new. I forgot the name of it. It is a Lewitt high-end Lewitt microphone to get a better sound out of it. It's very professional. Brand new cables. And sometimes when I do shows, there is an entity that's trying to come through. I've had it with a male. It's kind of stepping on my voice as we're speaking. And then I've had it with a female doing that just recently. And people can hear it. And I always tell people, if you can tell me what's being said there, like, here, I'm going to shut up, say what you want to say. But we've heard this before. Someone just said I look like the weatherman, and we're going to have a cold front coming out of the Pacific Northwest,
right,
moving down into California. Yes.
What about garden gnomes, man? We never really touched on them.
Those are you know what? Again, I think the intention. I think it depends on the intention again of what most people that put out garden gnomes are doing it as they're biting on someone else's, like, oh, this would be cute and funny. But gnomes are never cute, nor are they funny. They're very, very mischievous and bastards, for lack of a better word. And when you start putting them out there, maybe some of them come to life. Maybe, hear me out over here. Maybe you pick up a garden gnome or an older garden gnome, and you think it's just made from plaster, or it's a solid piece. You put it in your garden. Oh, that looks great. You repaint it and you clean it. What if that is actually a gnome that committed some kind of crime in a different dimension or timeline, and its sentence was to be frozen and spend its time on this timeline? So you're actually picking up an actual gnome, and now you have a live gnome, and because you showed it love or attention, it kind of breaks the sentence and it shortens it. Kind of like, I don't want to quote Harry Potter, but when Dobby gets the sock as a gift, he's free. Same principle. Think about that for a while. What if some of these things are coming here and we're like a prison planet for some of the elemental beings that are out there? Red fairy, green fairy, that type of stuff. That's pretty interesting. That'd be a good movie. Dave Scott and Fairy Gnome.
Bryan Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Bryan, what creatures do we not give enough attention to? We're always talking Bigfoot. We're always talking Dogman. We're always talking ghosts. But what ones out there are really creepy that we just don't pay attention to enough?
Tailed crawlers, creepy crawlers, rakes. We don't pay attention to those enough. And let me tell you something. There are more and more sightings of these creatures now than ever before. And these things are super aggressive, like really buku aggressive. And you really need to start paying attention to them. The most recent one, or the most famous one recently, was the gentleman driving in North Carolina in his truck, and he saw something on the side of the road, and then he heard something like in the back of the bed of his truck, and when he turned on the light, he's talking to 911, and because I think he thought something was hurt or whatever, and he goes, "Oh my God, it's not human! It's not human!" And he broke the car and flipped it over the top of the car, and then took off. They're very, very aggressive.
It reminds me of that story that you just told of the gentleman who called 911 who said there was a monster chasing him and it jumped in the back of his truck. That happened about a year ago.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
really,
and it was a rake he was describing. It's a rake. Yeah.
So explain to our listeners what a rake is.
Very, very. It has a human quality to it. Looks like an extremely slender, very pale human, exaggerated front arms. They're really long, and they may, how my hand comes to it, it may come a little bit more to a point. And their face could either be just like if you took spandex and put it over your face really tight, and you can kind of see the outlines that there's a face there, but you don't see the openings, to something where it has that kind of quality, but the eyes open up and the mouth opens up, and it kind of has razor sharp type of teeth going there, in general. And it could be either really, really white, gray, charcoal, or just absorb all the light in black. And they will creep on the ground on all fours, slowly. Sometimes they're mostly famous for kind of peeking out from behind some cover, or just hovering in one area, like sitting in a tree. Like, what is that doing there? Watching. And they do the Bigfoot, and I'm bobbing back and forth. For those that aren't paying attention, can't see me on the radio, but I'm kind of like going right and left. And they do that, and people get freaked out about it. And I know somebody who lives in a family plot of land that goes back generations, like a ton of different generations, was formerly Indian land, and used to have this creature, and it's like a house built. It's not like a very normal, like 2-level house. It's a ranch style home, and used to have this creature, the rake, who he said it was black charcoal to pale, and it would scratch on his window, and then use his finger, say, "Come out," like whisper. Scared the hell out of him. When he turned 13, he said, "No more." And he went into the house. His dad, this is Texas, mind you, property, you don't know what's going to be out there. And they had a mini 14, 40 rounds, I believe. And he went out, and the rake got excited. He was like, "Oh, I'm coming." Went out. As soon as he came out, it was near the side of where his house. And he went dead to rights on that creature, about 20 rounds. It kind of took off, and he sent the next 20 rounds in it, dead to rights. He said the liquid coming out of it was black. It looked like oil. Dad comes out yelling at him, "What the heck are you doing?" Boom, boom, boom. It's late at night. And he explained to him, "Dad, I'm telling you, this thing that I keep telling you about, you don't believe it. I got it." And they walked over, and they saw this pool of black liquid blood, and they followed it. And everywhere he said he laid into it, they found a pool, but they didn't find the creature. Mini 14 coming at you, 20 rounds. One round will take you out. This thing doesn't do that. There's another guy that used to deal with those high towers for cell phones and all that stuff. He puts them in. That's on private property, and he asks the people, "Hey, can I go there to use it as a deer stand?" So he's using it as a deer stand. He's got his rifle, 308. He's aimed. He sees one of those things at the distance, and it's talking to him. And it starts coming to him. He goes, "What the heck is this?" And he puts one right there. It goes down, and then it runs away. He doesn't know how to. You can't kill it.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Just lining up a few questions here for you.
Yeah, no, I couldn't hear you. That's why I was tapping. So
No worries. No worries.
yeah, I mean, I'm holding off to see my rakes. I really don't want to see them, but I've had a couple people in LBL recently, and 12 o'clock was rake. 12 o'clock, here comes another one, and there were a couple people there, and Greg Ogles from Relic
Right.
Media. And he was ready to draw down. He was the first time I ever brought out my weapon in my life. And one of his associates and a friend of mine, Natalie Spearman, she's all about bear spray. And this thing was kind of lunging. It was going to lunge at them. There's one of them, and she hit it with the bear spray, and it knocked it back. But I don't know. I think these rakes are related to black-eyed children and shadow people, and they run off of fear, and they also consume flesh and soul-based entities. Actually, in Canada, in Ontario, there was a video of a rake, and I don't know if CGI or not, it didn't look like it. This was a bunch of years ago, taking out a moose. It just jumped on it and started to bite into it, and then the moose moved out of the way and it was gone.
For one of these creatures to take down a moose, that's a heavy hit.
Yeah, that's bold, because those are the moose are the number one, I guess, animals to take out, I think, the most human lives in North America, if I'm correct.
Right.
They're terribly aggressive. And it's not just them attacking. I mean, when you hit a moose and that, 2,000 pounds flies into your car, it's going to be a bad day. So, but they're very aggressive. They're like hippopotamus. I'd love to have
We see it every year here, and we're getting into moose season with hunting season coming up and rutting season. There's people every year up here who die due to crash versus moose.
Yeah. Down here, it's Florida man, Florida woman. And also when they get the mating season for alligators, which is, I think, March and April, or April and May. And you don't want to be in the woods when they're there. They are very, very aggressive. They move pretty damn quick too.
I bet.
Prehistoric animal. Yeah. But, I mean, we have the real Florida panthers down here when we go Bigfooting. Another thing that's a problem is hogs, wild pigs. They're nasty. They'll eat you. And they're quick. Do you have any of those up there? Hey, BJ.
There are areas where they're starting to sprout up here, but they're pretty much in control to those certain areas.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them pop around here yet.
I mean, I know a lot of people that go hunt them and stuff, but BJ LaPierre, author and illustrator in your chat, she's got some stuff going on. She's just putting stuff on her YouTube. She has a lot of these weird. She's got great Dogman photo, and a lot of Bigfoot stuff, big prints on her property, pretty close to her house at this point.
Who is that?
BJ LaPierre. She
I
just
don't see her in the chat room. There she is.
Yeah, there she is.
BJ, how you doing? Nice to see you.
She's freaking awesome. Everybody's there. She's just one of my friends. She's great, and but I've been seeing some of her stuff, and it's like, oh my god, put it up, make some videos about it. So, yeah.
All right, buddy, we got 30 seconds.
Sure.
Pre-blown, how you doing? Nice to see you. And who else is here? I think we're caught up. And thank you to our super chatters, Matthew, Jeff, Steve, Garvey, Walter, Mickey, and T-Bone. Thank you very much for your love and support. If you haven't yet already, give us a thumbs up. It helps with our algorithms on the show. Here we go, everybody. We're into the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Talking monsters of our cryptid world, filling in for Marla Ventura. We have Bryan Bowden. Thank you, Bryan, for being here. Before we get to audience questions here, Bryan, with you, we're talking about creatures that really seem to have, lack of a better term, died off. Not many reports coming in. And the one I'm going to ask you about next is, what happened to black-eyed kids?
Oh, they're still around.
Don't hear much about them.
Yeah, there's some reports of them. They fall in the other category right now. I think maybe I'm crazy, but like I think, I don't know if I said it on air or not, but I think the rakes, black-eyed kids, shadow people, even Mothman and some of the flying humanoids out of Chicago, I think they are beings that live in a darker world or interdimension, and they prey on soul, some flesh, and fear. But black-eyed kids are being reported. There's a couple of reports in the mid-Atlantic states of these, and they're in pairs, which is really weird. It's not like just one kid. All black guys, like, hey, we need to come in. Hey, we need help. And people are like, what's wrong? You're missing your mom, whatever. And there's something about them. They said they started getting a lot of fear and uneasy, and then they just closed the door. They reported it to 911, but after a while, they realized if I continue to this report, I'm going to be guilty of a false police report because no one's going to believe me. And I don't think police departments believe them. I think they know about them. Many years ago, I heard about police departments. Most every police department has like an X-Files type of department that deals with stuff like this. Throughout the U.S., at least. I don't know about in Canada.
Right. I haven't heard. I don't think I've ever heard of a black-eyed kids case in Canada. If not, I can't remember.
So, I made a correlation at one point, and I came up with something that the first collider, I've talked about this a couple of times, was in Illinois, Fermi Lab. That's the, like when they're smashing particles. They ramped it up and they shut it down just as quick. And at the same point, that's when the Mandela effect was coined by Fiona Broom, who was a paranormal investigator. She's like, I thought Mandela died like X amount of years ago or whatever, and he wasn't dead. So I have a feeling that when they start playing with these colliders, what happens is they break. It's so much energy that not only our timeline, but the ones that are around us kind of get fractured and broken. And when they start to heal, that's why I remember the cornucopia up to a certain point growing up. I remember it. I saw it. It's on my underwear. My grandmother bought it. And then now we don't have the cornucopia because the other half of, after it went back together again, we got the timeline of the other half from that's next to us. And now they're like, we never had a cornucopia. Like if you go to the next timeline, they're like, we've never had a cornucopia, or we never did. Now they're here. When did this happen? So they're having their own Mandela effects, you know. And but what's interesting is if you start looking at where the cases of black-eyed kids are around the country, where they're mostly reported, within a, like, I would say 100-mile radius, I think I was looking at, there are major universities, and every university in North America, I think in Canada too, have mini colliders, particle accelerators. So if they keep popping them open and closing them, these are like little cracks in the dark, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go through that. So that's why you hear about them, but then they slip back in.
Audience question time, my friend.
Sure.
Brian, what are your thoughts on Dr. Phil covering the UFO phenomena now? I know you're a big Dr. Phil fan.
You know what, Dave? No, I'm not a big Dr. Phil fan. I just think it adds more to the dog and pony show. I'm not a proponent of what's going on in the disclosure movement. I'm for disclosure, but I think what you're seeing here is a narrative, and I think people are being taken advantage of in a psyop type of program, you know, that's being used, and they're using every means possible to, you know, and everyone possible. So now they added Dr. Phil to the equation. It's meaningless. So
I think that Dr. Phil brings an important part to it because he is bringing an entirely new audience of millions upon millions of people, especially women, to the conversation, which I think is great.
mhm.
That being said, every time we get one of these new celebrity interests in the UFO world, we have to go right back to where we started, 2017, the USS Nimitz incident, the Go Fast, the gimbal, and the Tic Tac videos. We go back to UAP instead of UFOs. We go to NHI, not aliens or ETs. Okay, we use all of the keywords that we're supposed to now. And it's just like when the movie Age of Disclosure, you see Dan Farah out there, and I don't have a thing against Dan Farah. I've liked his movies before. Okay. And
Mhm.
I will probably after. But you see Dan Farah everywhere now as a UFO expert.
But they're not.
Buddy, a year and a half ago, you knew nothing about this subject, or 3 years ago when you started filming this, you knew nothing about this subject. Now you're an expert because you had a few conversations with Chris Bellin or David Grush or Lou Elizondo. It goes on way before that. And I think these celebrity people who get involved with this, I think every time we move the ball forward on a subject, because they're new, opening it up to a new audience, they have to start from the beginning.
Yep.
The problem is the beginning isn't Roswell, it's the Nimitz.
It's the narrative that they want you to continue to push out there. And it's very interesting. So Dr. Phil, like you said, look, I have no problems with Dr. Phil, but it's just more people coming into the pool. So it's a little bit, now it's wider. And I've been asking myself lately, is this a setup for Project Bluebeam? Getting more and more people involved. You hear they're like, these are serious. We need to know these creatures and we can't stop them. Hyping it up about this mysterious something, you know, a la War of the Worlds, but the new version of it. And then we're going to have an event like a Blue Beam, and you know, Dr. Phil is, being set up to be used as a pawn or a patsy on this. I just don't think it's important.
Well, I mean, right now he's keeping it to his podcast side that he does. I don't think it's moved over or transitioned over to his television show just yet. But
Yeah.
his subject, he's talking about it almost every day. And look,
Funny.
I mean, here's the other thing. Tucker Carlson said once that he loves doing the UFO shows because he saw ratings spikes. Ratings bring money. When you're in that level, ratings bring a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. So why not go for it? Even if you don't believe, or maybe you do. Next question, Brian, comes from Tina here.
Hi, Tina.
Oh man, I have a garden gnome that I painted because it faded. Now what should I do?
Just treat him nice and he'll treat you nice. If he comes to life, you can say, listen, I took care of your suit and your coat. You can give him some milk and cookies and send him on his way. Someone had a problem with some kind of gnome / elemental, and we literally got him to give them a certain amount of time because I said, offer him milk and cookies. And he took it. Most of these elemental creatures, at one point, humans were interacting with them. Everything was great. And then all of a sudden it was heresy. Whoop, and then they went on this, we need to kill, unalive them all. And so they had a distrust in humanity. But now I think they're coming back here because humans like Tina right here and my friend Lynn are doing things to make their world a better place. They're showing them that not all humans are bad and we've learned from our mistakes.
Next question.
Yes, sir.
Joe is asking, why don't these things attack me in the Sierra Nevadas of California? I'm out here every day.
I don't know what you're doing out there in that area. I don't know what kind of protection you bring along with you. And some people, some people have abilities. Some people, I think everybody has abilities, but some people are really open to it and tapped into it. And other people will never be open and tapped into it, even if a fairy came out of their dashboard and said, by the way, we're real. They'd be like, I need to get some sleep. So it depends on, why, what are you going to use to protect them? Like protect yourself against them, especially if it's, something, a pew stick, we'll just call it. They may not want to attack you. I had a friend that was in the woods, Pacific Northwest for a week hunting elk. I'm like, what'd you bring with you? Oh, my, 30-06. I'm like, okay. I didn't see one Bigfoot or hear anything strange. I'm like, I wouldn't make noise if you were there with a 30-06 either. I'd shut my mouth and go the other direction. They know what these things can do to them. So that's maybe the reason why you're not being attacked.
All right. Next one. This one comes from Dunzel. What are the differences between gnomes and trolls?
That's a good Ron Murphy question, because he wrote a whole book about fairies and the fae. Trolls are bigger and wider, and they can be actually a lot taller. They can make themselves smaller or be almost gigantic in size. Gnomes are these little beings, and they follow almost in a pod itself. They have their own village, and kind of like Smurfs. Versus great size comparison. Picture like a mouse standing on its hind legs, and then a human next to it standing. That's the difference between gnomes and trolls. The gnomes are like the mice, and the trolls can be as tall as 50, 60, 70 times taller than the other one. And they do different things.
Gnomes are more closer to little people than they are, I would say, trolls. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're more human-ish looking or appearing. A troll is something that is more grotesque. I'm sure within the troll world, some of them are beautiful compared to others, but it's a different type of being and different purposes. I think gnomes are more dealing with agriculture, and not forestry, but like gardens and that type of small, lower end agriculture. Trolls just do whatever they want. They're just a blight on the world. They will also, like giants, pop a human's head off and drink the blood.
It is what it is, man.
Yep.
It is what it is. Let's get to another question here.
Sure.
This one from Joe here.
Hey, Joe.
Is the Dogman, or could the Dogman be killed by silver like werewolves are?
Yeah, it can be killed by silver if you made it into a bullet or something like a weapon. Here's the problem: werewolves are more of a Hollywood thing, versus the Dogman, which is, I believe, a species of beings, kind of like the Bigfoots. They're their own species, and it's totally different. Werewolves transform into or from humans into these beasts, whereas the Dogman is the beast and always has been the beast. So and a lot of the werewolf legends come from, for example, St. Christopher. He did something and he had the head of a wolf. You look at some of the pictures depicted of St. Christopher, he's a werewolf, and then he finds his way and they restore him back to a human.
I never knew that about St. Christopher.
Yeah, go take a look. It's pretty crazy. It's very interesting. I just heard about this. They found dire wolf jawbone at the Skinwalker Ranch.
That's interesting.
And that's very interesting because dire wolves are huge, or supposedly huge, and may have walked on their hind legs more so than all fours. And the fact that, we're talking about a ginormous, like 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall, that very well could fall into the range of Anubis and Dogman, 100%.
That's creepy, Brian.
It is creepy, but now they had some bones there, and I think it was like I think they found like 10% of the bones when tested were some kind of canine wolf. I forgot what the actual Latin term was, and the rest is an unknown. How about that?
So odd.
Well,
So
there's bones there. Get Brandon back on and talked about dire wolves.
Brian Bowden is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lou is asking, any giant insect encounters?
There are reports of, if you want to talk about giant insect, it's an ant. Is an ant an insect? Kind of, sort of. Inky and the ant people, actually in the panhandle of Florida, is a reported or supposed entrance to the inner earth that the ant people showed Inky, who was part of the Anunnaki. And people have gone missing in part of the panhandle of Florida, near supposedly where the location is. I don't know the exact location. If I did, I have a few people, we would go up there and we would probably fly a drone into it and try to figure it out. But that would be the closest thing, like a 7-foot ant. Insects, the only time you get insects is when you're dealing with extraterrestrials and the insectoid beings that are out there, and reptilians. Some is like a combination of both. That's about it. And those reptilians and insectoids are starting around 12 feet tall. Pretty big.
I don't want to be around any insectoids.
Neither do I.
I've never seen the mantid beings. I don't want to have anything to do with them. Nothing.
Yeah, it's but what happens if you find out you are from that bloodline or whatever line, genetic line? You know, some
Have you ever seen a mantid?
I've never seen a mantid in person. I've seen descriptions of them. I don't want to see a mantid because I know what mantids do. When the female mantid mates with the male mantid, when the coupling is finished, the female bites the head off the male mantid. I'm like, no, I don't want to be part of any of this. I haven't seen a reptilian. I've seen greys. I've seen the Nordic, and that's it. But I haven't seen the reptilians or the insectoids, and I really don't want to.
No, me either.
That would, I think, freak me out a little bit. Just like, like, oh my God, they got it right on that movie.
Yeah, I just something about them reptilians, it just doesn't seem very right. Let's go next to let's see here. Jeff Steve Garvey.
Jeff.
Brian, what's up with the Montauk project?
Like what happened to it, or
well, is there anything new in it?
Nothing you'll be able to find out because they went deep underground. They still do this stuff in the Montauk project. They still
so before you go there, we got 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Explain to people what the Montauk project is.
I can't do that in 3 minutes. They were playing around with children and beings, their abilities, and being able to travel interdimensional into dealing with us. It's almost like a super soldier project. And seeing who had the abilities that relate back to the extraterrestrial lines and our potential of being a super soldier. It's kind of hard to explain in under 3 minutes. There's a lot to gather there. And they were testing children. They were doing it's very much like if you've seen Stranger Things, they were doing genetic testing, they were doing cloning, and they were trying to build super soldiers that could not only be in our dimension but go interdimensionally in other types of atmospheres that are not like Earth, and deal with the cryptids and creatures that are coming from there. It's a crazy project. It
also involves a lot of time travel too.
Yeah. There's jump sites and going back in time and unaliving things and a lot, lining with certain races of extraterrestrials, and it gets very, very complex. And then dealing with other beings that are out there not for the benefit of humanity and trying to eliminate them. But yeah, there's a lot of time jumping there.
What do you think of time travel? Do you think we're doing it?
I think 100% we're doing it. 100% we're doing it. 100% there are jump rooms throughout the world. There are stargates throughout the world. I really do believe we have people on Mars. I know we have people on the moon. And one place I don't think we have people is Saturn. And I think Saturn was designed to keep something in than out. I think it's a prison.
Well, next time you are on,
we
need to talk about time travel a little bit more.
Oh, sure.
We do. We totally do. Tell everybody where they can find your podcast.
My broadcast, not my podcast, is on all podcast catchers. It's Third Eye Live, and we broadcast Wednesdays 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. Then Monday I do a show for 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern, same channel @ Bryan Bowden. called Open Your Mind. We teach remote viewing, how to raise your energy, vibration, frequency higher, and use your God-given abilities to make your life a better place and protect yourself from antis and some other crazy stuff.
That's why you're the best. Bryan Bowden, everybody. The man, the myth, and the podcast legend. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller and Robin Haynes will be here for the Cryptid Q&A.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job tonight, brother. Appreciate you.
Explain the Montauk Project in 3 minutes. Are you out of here?
Hey, that's when the question came up.
No. I know. It's a lot.
All right, bro.
It's a lot. Bye.
Talk soon, buddy. You're the best.
Oh, I appreciate it. So are you.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now.
Over here. Look at this.
Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The Weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right. Thank you, everybody, for the wait. And we bring in Robin. There she is.
Hi,
How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Excuse the darkness. I'm out of state in a camper, and so I came into the car so I wouldn't wake up everybody in the camper.
Oh, you are a trooper. Contrary one, how you doing? Aussie Ange, how are you? Thank you to our super chatters, T-Bone, Mickey, Walter, Jeff, and Matthew. And thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up. If you're listening on the podcast side, if you're new here, welcome. And don't forget to hit follow, subscribe, whatever you got to hit. We appreciate it. We're coming back in 5 seconds. Swamp Dwellers, 6 minutes long, okay?
Sounds good.
This is hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us as we prepare for Swamp Dweller and Robin Haynes with the Cryptid Q&A. Before we bring Robin and Swampy on, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Bathophobia. Bathophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
As it happened in Scotland, I was told it could not be a skinwalker. So when I found this show, I thought I'd share it here and see what you all think. Some things I'd like to note. While I don't live in a tiny village like this encounter happened in, I do live in a small town in Scotland, so I am familiar with many animal sounds. It was not an owl or a fox, both of which I'm very familiar with as I live near a lot of them. I hope you all enjoy reading my experience. So, a little over a year and a half ago, I went to stay with my grandmother in the countryside. She lives in a tiny village in the middle of nowhere in Scotland. My grandfather has recently passed after a long illness. I was worried she might be lonely, so I went to stay for a while. One night there, it was perhaps 1 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I was on my laptop in the guest bedroom that had formerly belonged to my grandfather. It had new furniture, etc., to make it a guest room, as his hospital bed and all that were taken back. As I'm on my laptop, I hear what sounds like a flock of chickens going by the window, going nuts and clucking. I think nothing of this and chuckle to myself, thinking the neighbor's chickens had gotten out. I'm about to go check the window, thinking that there's something going on. Maybe if I just put some food out and try to herd them into the garden, maybe they'll, leave me alone and stay in that one area and not get lost before I reach the window. However, the noise of chickens changes and begins to blend together into a noise that gets louder and louder until it doesn't sound like chickens anymore. It sounds like a screaming that has me frozen in place. It no longer sounded like multiple voices of animal. So I knew it wasn't a flock of chickens being attacked by a fox or something. It was now a hellish screaming noise that was directly outside my window, which was thankfully covered by curtains. It stayed at my window for perhaps 5, maybe even 10 minutes while I'm frozen from fear in the middle of the room, before it left and I could hear the screaming get more and more distant until it was gone. I honestly have no idea what I heard and was too scared to talk to my grandmother about it the next day. Do any of you have any idea what this could be, or any thoughts on what happened?
I guess it was a lot shorter than that. I don't know what happened there. It timed out differently than it was supposed to. That's all right, though. I was expecting a few more minutes. Swamp Dweller, thank you. You can listen to Swamp Dweller each and every day and night, except when you're listening to this show, on his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. It's time for Robin.
Robin Haynes walks off where the tall trees sway. She hears Bigfoot whisper what the wind won't say. Through the veil of the forest where the wild man plays, the Bigfoot psychic talks to Sasquatch every day. Only on Spaced Out Radio's Cryptic Q&A.
Robin Haynes is here. She is our Cryptid Q&A psychic lady. Robin, thank you so much for coming on in.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Even in the middle of traveling around. So,
yes, you were at a family gathering this past weekend.
yeah. About probably 4 would take off to go. But my son married and officiated, so I was very blessed about that. And then on Sunday, I spoke at a conference in Irons, Michigan. So
Nice. What did you speak about?
As always, the Sasquatch, and then that went into the Dogman, and that went into the UFOs and the aliens, and then that went into the frequency, and we had a good time.
Good. Sounds like it was a wonderful, wonderful weekend for you.
It was great.
So we had something strange happen out at Flight 21 this past weekend.
Yeah, I didn't get your call because I was nervous.
You're breaking up a little bit, so we're going to do our best here. Robin is out in the middle of Michigan somewhere where apparently, the dogmen are running around breaking up her signal. But we had some strangeness happen this weekend. We about a week before we had put our trail cameras back out because we knew we were going to be safe from the forest fires. So we had taken them on your advice, taking them back just in case, and then we replanted them about 2 weeks ago, coming up 2 weeks ago. Well, this past weekend, we noticed that there was movement at the gifting site. And following that, we checked the cameras because we have 2 cameras on the gifting site. The only pictures that those cameras caught were us coming in and coming up to the camera. I don't know what happened there, Robin, but the cameras failed on us for the first time. They've never failed on us previously.
Well, they mess with the cameras. They absolutely mess with them. You can block them out. I had a video of a bunch of them running across my side yard of my house. And It was on, this was years ago, a VHS tape. Played it several times. Several people saw it. They mess with cameras, they mess with phones, with the tapes.
Right. Robin, we're only getting about every second word. I'm going to get you to turn your camera off to see if that helps out our feature here a little bit.
Is that any better?
Yeah, that's a little
How
bit
about-
better.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
guys, I'm crying.
So you were saying about the trail cameras, that they can play with the trail cameras.
Yeah, they use frequency to mess with them. They can erase them. They can do anything they want with them.
And why would they do that?
Well, because in their world, the camera lens steals their soul. And they don't want it seen. There's supposed to be no evidence that they're ever there.
Why is there supposed to be no evidence that they were ever there?
Because it's a physical threat for them. Then people can find them. And again, our people are not always kind. And we tend to hurt them and hunt them. And they have children. You know, it's like when we have our small children, you know, we don't want people photographing them. We don't want them to know where they're at. It makes it too easy for anybody to take them. So they don't want it.
We put the trail cameras, we left them there. Is this something we can expect to happen from now on out?
Yeah. I think more times than not, you're going to find that they will mess with them. They used to bury my cameras. They would take branches and put them on top of the cameras. I only tried it a few times and I just said, forget it. You know, I got, like I said, I got one picture of a thumb and the side of a breast on a female, and that was it. But after that, they were completely buried no matter where I put them. They would just bring branches and brush and put on top of them. And the video camera, they wiped clear every time.
Oh, man. I'm just blown away by this, to be blunt.
Yeah, but the thing is it's more annoying for them. So you have to be careful because sometimes it'll set back your research because they are not as trusting of you with the cameras there. And you have worked so hard and you've gotten such great results. I would hate to see it go backwards.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out where the hell the squirrel took my whistles. But the funny part about it is, getting back to that whole whistle incident where we've had a couple of whistles and glow sticks disappear from our gifting site, Robin. One of the things that we did find, we had a little like squishy toy that you can buy at a dollar store, like a stress toy kind of thing. And it was ripped apart. Well, we found the area where the squishy toy was. Mike on our team, our videographer, was walking through the trees and he noticed it on the ground. It was only half of it. But here's the interesting part. You've heard me many a time out at Flight 21 talk about the meadow. And where was this piece? It was halfway between the gifting site and the meadow. And it just seems like everything always draws us towards the meadow. And I'm not sure how that happens.
Unless the Sasquatch are back there most of the time. Now, did you actually get footage of the squirrel taking the squishy ball?
No, I got footage of him doing everything else.
The reason I say that is because they used to take, it wasn't ever a squishy ball, but they took balls, like they would go in and out of our garage because I would leave the garage door open. And they took a basketball and they bit it like it was an apple. They took a football and they put it in one hand and then they just completely deflated it by squeezing it. So if they had that squishy ball, they would try to bite it or rip it apart. I mean, they don't know what they are. So they're either biting on them or squishing them.
Well, I can tell you this. We didn't get to see it because that happened the week that we did not put the cameras out there because we had taken them home.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
something else interesting happened with our third trail camera that's out there. And it's got its eye, pun intended, on the peanut butter jar that we have at about 7 feet up in a stump. And when we went and checked out Brian's trail camera, it was flat on the ground with the camera pointed to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where it gets funny. Something big and black turned it over. Now there are only in that area, there are only 3 things that are big and black. There's moose, there is black bears, and there is Sasquatch. Now, we've already ruled out the moose because it makes it pretty easy. I was leaning towards a black bear, but a couple of the frames on the 2 videos that we caught something, and they're 10-second videos. The 2 frames that we caught something on, they made me question whether or not it was a bear.
Well, I have a message for you because they're talking.
Okay.
They said, make camera go. No trust. And they're still talking. You friend. They said, your friend. Are you a friend? Camera go away.
Well, it is give and take. It is, but here's the main reason why I don't think it's a bear. There is a part where it either puts a hand or a foot down. I'm not sure which one. Bears do not have retractable claws, and you cannot see any claws on this paw or hand.
Yeah, they're yelling, no want, make go. No want, make it go.
Oh, well, tell them to take the peanut butter first. Tell them to play with the peanut butter first.
I think you're frustrating them. They want the peanut butter, but not enough to go by the cameras.
Well, we do know a squirrel tried to get in there. We do know that. Right?
Yeah.
So, but it is interesting. That is for sure. It's very interesting to say the least, because I don't know really what to think of this. And it's an awesome video. I'm going to post it on my Facebook here coming up.
Well, now he says, make go, 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 go. Like he's like yelling in my head.
Well, I can't be there until Sunday. Cannot be there until Sunday.
But he does keep saying you friend.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. They like me. They really, really like me.
They really do. I mean, it's just a riot because they look forward to you coming out there, and when it gets wintertime where you can't get out as much, they'll talk, where he go. And I'm like, guys, he can't get out there. It's too much snow. We walk snow. And I'm like, I know, but he can't get through the snow. And they just, they don't get it.
I'm still waiting. I think we're getting closer to a sighting. I really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they really swarm around you guys when you're out there.
The energy was so much different than the week before. The week before, when I was saying to you that it was just, a very, very difficult piece of energy out there where it didn't feel very comfortable at all. I'm just
Yeah.
curious. I'm just curious as you kind of look at it, how does that change so quickly?
Well, you get, what I call visitors. You get some of them that come through there. They may not be part of that clan, that might be just walking through, might be nosing around, that aren't overly nice. It's a different energy. It's a different frequency than what you guys are used to when you go out there. You're going to pick it up. Also, if it's a stranger and you are intricated with a clan like you guys are, I mean, they know you guys, especially you. They like you. They enjoy the interaction. And if there's a strange one walking around, they will literally project energy onto you that makes you feel uncomfortable and uneasy so that you'll leave the area because they don't trust the other one walking around. They did that to me one time. I was actually in Michigan and I was outside with them and I felt something else come in and they were like, go to the house, go house, go house. And I said, why? What's the matter? And they said, danger. So I walked towards the house. I turned around and they're like throwing rocks back and forth across my yard. And it was just, one that wasn't from their group that had wandered in, but they didn't want it anywhere near me. They were not going to let that near me. And they were pelting it with rocks. And I think probably when you were out there, somebody was wandering around that didn't belong there and they weren't going to chance it. So they project that energy on you to make you purposely feel uncomfortable so that you leave because it's safer for you.
Well, what's funny is Brian Bowden, who was just on before you. I asked him about that energy change and difference prior, and he pretty much matched what you said. He said he was picking up that there was a strange creature there, probably another Sasquatch that was trying to be territorial. And that's exactly what you told us what had happened.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll come into each other's territory now and then and nose around. It could be a female that's looking for a boyfriend. It could be a male looking for a girl. It could be just checking it out because it knows it's somebody else's territory. Maybe it's hungry and it's hoping to get some food, and they don't want it there. But then you come in and they really get protective of people. People do not realize that these beings, these human hybrids, do look out for us at times. They've done it for me a number of times. And I think they do it for you when you go out there. And they will project an unwanted feeling on you, not to hurt you, but as a warning to get you to leave an area that might not be safe for you.
And we get that almost every time. Like once again, this past weekend when we were going into dusk, we all of a sudden, after about an hour and a half in the trees, we literally got that feeling that it was time for us to move forward. And our base camp.
Right. And it could be something as simple as, maybe let's just say because I keep getting that there's anywhere from 13 to 17. I think there's 17 now in that group that you're working with. Okay. We all have that one person, whether it's a family member, a friend, or whatever, that's a total jerk. And it could be something as simple as that particular one in the group was getting too close to you and the rest of the group didn't feel it was safe. I mean, they're all individuals. They all have individual personalities, just like we do. And everybody's got that one friend or that one family member, that not only are they an embarrassment, but they're just not nice. And they will warn you and let you know so that you stay safe.
I like that.
Yeah. They have a very protective nature. And once they bond with you, once they accept you and they trust you, they are protective. They're absolutely protective.
Well, it is a dangerous area.
Yeah. I had one standing in my bushes in my tree line, and somebody was at the house and they were like screaming at me and standing over the top of me, yelling at me. And I'm like, you need to look over my shoulders and see the eyes that you're going to see in that tree line, and then make that decision if you want to sit here and continue doing this. Because you're going to notice the bush is shaking and you're going to see a pair of eyes. You make the call what you want to do.
And on that note, Robin, we're going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Robin Haynes and the Cryptid Q&A continuing on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Robin, here's the video. Hold on, I got you on mute. Here's the video, Robin, if you want to look at your screen.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's not a bear. I don't think that's a bear.
Right here, that looks like a thumb to me.
Yep, it does to me too. Absolutely. That looked like a hand and a wrist. It bends too much. That's not a bear paw.
Now, does that look like Sasquatch fur up close and personal?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because they don't have fur. They have hair. And you can see the way it whisks and the way it floats. That doesn't look like a bear to me. And that one spot in particular definitely looked like a thumb and a hand.
See, that looks like a thumb to me. Where is it? Where are you? Right there. That looks like a thumb to me.
Yeah, it does to me too. I don't think that's a bear at all. Number one, it looks more like a hand, but when you see it hitting the ground, it doesn't extend far enough out to be a bear, and it's not shaped like a bear. And the movement is too fluid
See,
to
that
be a bear.
looks like a thumb and then another finger.
Yeah, a bear's a lot more bulky in movement. This is too fluid for a bear. It's bending around too much. And you can see it's grabbing something. In that one spot, it looked like it opened and closed its hand.
Yeah.
That looks like a shoulder. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Oh, I don't think it's weird. I think it's amazing. That one little clip that you just showed, that shows it bending its hand almost like a fist. That's not a bear paw. And right there, it looks like the shadow. Look at you can see the silhouette, almost like a head and neck and shoulder. And you can see under where the armpit's at. I don't believe that's a bear for a second.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And hi, gorgeous Larry in the chat room. Here's the thing that I'm not sure of. I'm still leaning towards a bear. That's just me. Okay. But when the video, let me just see how much time we have. We got 2 minutes. At the end here, where it puts its whatever it is, a hand or a foot down, there are no claws.
No.
There are no
claws. Bear, no, and that one picture that you had a minute ago, that was a silhouette. That was a silhouette of the body. See, that doesn't extend out. That looks like right there is a silhouette. You can see the head where it goes down into the shoulder, the muscle on the top of it, and you can see just under where the armpit is at as well.
Right.
And you can see part of it on the other side. That to me, I will never believe that's a bear. I mean, I get people that send me videos all the time, and I'm definitely not an expert on them, but there's not a lot of them that I would, put my stamp on and say it's not, that it's a Sasquatch. I would this. This is fantastic.
It's kind of cool.
Oh, very.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think that's a bear. And the fact that the lens was down, you said it was face down to the ground?
In the second video. So I'll play that here in a second because we still have a little bit of time. Here quickly.
It looked like an arm reaching down.
Yeah, flipping it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would be typical because they would force the camera lens down into the ground.
Yeah.
That would be done deliberately.
All
I
right.
think that's amazing.
Thank you to T-Bone, Mickey, Walter, Jeff, and Matthew for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate it. And we're going to continue on here right after this. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in. Cryptid Q&A with Robin Haynes continues right now. Now, Robin, right before the break or during the break, I played a video from Brian's trail cam. We were talking about it right beforehand. You were convinced this is the hand of a Sasquatch rather than a paw of a black bear.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Explain why.
Number one, with the way it put its hand down, it was balled up like a fist. It was too short to be a bear paw. Second, the way it went up, it didn't look like it was, the joint was like it would be for a bear. And then there's the picture of the thumb. That was very clearly a thumb. They don't have hair on the palms of their hands, okay? They don't have it generally extended on their fingers. It's maybe a few wisps of hair, but, for the most part, their palms and their fingers are more bald. And that one absolutely was. And it had the skin tone that would have matched the hair color that it has. The hair did not, to me, excuse me, did not look like what I would expect to see on a bear. I mean, I've seen bears up close before, and that did not resemble anything I've seen. And they have hair. They don't have fur. A bear has a double coat, if not a triple coat. And that did not. That was hair. That was not fur. And then you see the picture of the finger, and it looked almost like a thumb, and then it looked like a second finger next to it. And then the hair started back up on the wrist, which is very typical with the Sasquatch. And then you have this next part of the film, and there's a perfect silhouette. You see the head, you see it going down into the shoulders, you see the muscle on the shoulder going down on the upper arm, and you see the arm extend. And if you look closely, you can also see a little bit of light where it goes underneath the armpit. And then you look on the other side of the screen and you can start to see a silhouette on that side. There's just no way I'm believing that's a bear.
It's odd.
You saw the bear?
When that foot or whatever it is steps down, I'm not convinced that if that's a bear or a Sasquatch.
Yeah. To me, it didn't look like a foot. To me, it looked like a fist. Because of the way there was so much hair on it, and the way that it was, like, I've seen them do the knuckle prints in the ground, and that's the shape that their hand goes into. It looked more like a fist to me. If it was a bear, it would have extended out more. Bears have claws. Those claws are out at all times. There was no claw on that at all. And it was very short. It was too short to be a bear. A bear has a much longer foot and claws on top of it. To me, which I'm not perfect, I could be wrong, but to me, that absolutely looked like a double up fist, like it was mad and it punched the ground because it was messing with the camera, and either it put its hand down into a fist to lean on the ground while it was messing with it, or it punched it down on the ground. But it looked to me like knuckles on top and then the second set of knuckles, just like you would make a fist.
It's rare for Sasquatch to get caught on camera. If this was a Sasquatch, it obviously knew what it was doing.
I don't think it was worried about getting caught. I think what it is you had the camera up. They trust you. They've trusted you for the last 3 or 4 years. And they were mad the camera was there. And I think the mad over the camera overtook it being cautious. I think that it had probably been walking around it looking at it for a while till it made it mad enough. But the other thing is, it put the camera lens into the ground, not up, not on its side, into the ground. That was deliberate. And just the whole way the thing went down, I just don't buy it. If they're smart enough to go up to my cameras and haul in brush, I never saw them other than the one time I got the pictures of, like I said, the thumb and the breast. But then they buried it with brush. They know what they're doing. And I think the energy off of that was he was mad. He was mad about the camera. He was going to get rid of the camera. He pushed the camera lens down in the ground. And if you watch it, the camera lens was up first. When he knocked it over, the camera lens was up. That's how you got the footage you got. But then it flipped it over and pushed the camera lens into the ground. That takes mindset. That's intent. That's intelligence.
It's still odd. It's still very odd. And we're going to see what kind of happens as we move forward, see if the trail cameras will be messed up next when we go back there this weekend. Robin, what else can you tell us about this time of year when it comes to the Sasquatch? Are they getting ready for mating season? In the animal kingdom, we call it rutting season. What are they preparing for?
No, they're not an animal. They're a human hybrid. So no, they're not. What they are doing now is they are getting set up for winter. Weathers are starting to change. We've already had all these storms. They're already making plans for food for the winter and the areas, where they're going to lay low. Down in the south, not quite so much. They're a little bit more out. I have noticed that they are very talkative lately. They are very up and out and moving around. I was in the woods yesterday at a very dear friend and her husband's house. The two of them are just the sweetest people ever. And we were out in their woods and we found this beautiful arch. And I walked up to this arch and there was one out there. And I didn't know it was out there. I just, all of a sudden, I heard this bipedal thing go running 90 miles an hour through the woods. There was no deer. You couldn't see anything. All you could do was see the brush separate as it went running through, but it was definitely on 2 legs. But right now, they're gathering food. They're getting ready to set up for winter in the colder states so that they're not having to be out all the time, and they're preparing. They are not worried about mating season because they don't have a mating season. They're a human. They have babies when they want to have babies. They typically tend to be having them through the summer. I always tended to see more of them bring them out of their housing environment about September, October. I'd see the little tiny ones. They would bring them out. So right about now, I would think anytime through the summer, they'd be having babies. But they don't. In my personal opinion, there's not a season. There's not a season for it. I mean, they're a human hybrid. It's just like us. They have the babies when they have the babies. I do think, that more often than not, because they go 9 to 10 months. And more than that, they're having them in the summertime. I mean, what do we do all wintertime when we can't get outside? So the babies come in the summer. But they're gathering food. They're getting things ready. They're getting set up. The ones that do use fire, They're getting the old wood. Old wood doesn't smoke as bad. And there are a lot of clans that will use fire. And so they're getting things ready, just like a typical person would be. You know, if you live off grid, this is the time of year that you're going and you're getting things ready to get through the winter.
It's starting, you know, as
Yeah.
the days start to get a little bit shorter, you can see the movement in the animals starting. What do they
Oh,
feed
yeah.
on? What's their daily diet?
If they can get, by rivers, and there's always got to be a water source nearby, they'll get fish. And it's really funny because I caught them several times burying the fish in the sand on my property. So for some reason that sand must hold the fish for them, because they would go to the lakes that were near me when I lived in Michigan, get fish, and they would bury them. I'd find all these little sand mounds all over the place, and there was a fish in every single one of them. They're hunting deer, rabbit, any type of wild game they can get, like, Texas and in the Carolinas, sometimes, not as much as Texas, but Texas, it's wild hogs. Louisiana, wild hogs. South Carolina, I've never seen a wild hog in South Carolina, although I'm aware that we have them. And anything that they can get. One wild hog is several hundred pounds, and they can get quite a bit out of that. But they'll get deer. There was a certain part of Michigan years and years ago that one of the DNR officers had called in because they found 14 dead deer in a cave that was on that forestry area. And it looked like something had just shredded open the belly and the innards were out of it. But there was 14 of them stacked up. Giant footprints all over on the dirt all around. But they'll eat any wild game they can get. They want meat, they want vegetables. They'll be pilfering through the farmers' fields. If you see these fields that have like large areas of corn or beans or whatever, they go right in the middle of it, get what they want out of it, because nobody's going to notice it gone. They'll be hitting the chicken houses and getting some of the chickens out of there, because you don't keep count when you have hundreds and thousands of chickens in a chicken house. They'll go and grab whatever they can, but they're stocking up. They're getting ready. Like I said, the ones that are in really cold temperatures that do use fire, they get the older wood so it doesn't smoke as much. And they're getting that stored up just like we would if we lived off grid. Not much is different.
All right. We have Robin Haynes here on Spaced Out Radio for the Cryptid Q&A. Is it at this point of year where animals start foraging to fatten up for the fall?
Yeah.
Is this where we get more interactions and run-ins between cryptid species like Bigfoot versus Dogman?
Absolutely. And as soon as hunting season starts, it's going to be even more so. I mean, they go and hunt just fine on their own, but, we're out in the woods, not myself, but, there's people that go out in the woods and they're hunting, and they'll follow the hunters around. And there's been so many hunters that I've talked to where they've gotten a deer and they go to follow the blood trail to go get their deer, and the deer's gone. It's just vanished. It's completely gone. Or they've actually caught a Sasquatch with the deer over its shoulder and it's walking away. I mean, saves them having to do it. So they follow the hunters around, not only because they are concerned because they have weapons that could be a threat to their family, but also because if they're going to bag a deer or a hog or whatever it is they're going after, they'll grab them. They have no problem grabbing them. They consider it their food anyway. You're on their land, and, so they'll walk away with it. Not even bad night. I've not heard of anybody that got attacked or got hurt. They usually just grab the food and walk away. I have a very good friend that many, many, many years ago, I think it was his brother that was out with him, but he was out with somebody else, and he had shot a deer, followed the blood trail, got all the way to the end of the blood trail, and he didn't see the deer, heard a little bit of a growl or a gurgle noise, and looked up, and here's this Sasquatch standing there with it over his shoulder. And his person that was with him started to pull up a gun, and he told him not to. So he put the gun down, and the Sasquatch looked at him, turned around, and walked away. Most of them don't want the confrontation. They don't want the fight. You get some ones that are mean, but I mean, we have people that are mean too.
True.
I mean, I've been hurt more by people than I ever have a Sasquatch. That's for sure. I'd still rather be out in the woods with them than 100 of Sasquatch than 100 are humans
I
that I
get
don't
that,
know.
but I'm thinking territory because every creature in the forest is very territorial.
Yeah, well, it's just like we are. We all have our property lines for our houses. We don't want anybody in our yard. You know, it's basically the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I think they are territorial to a degree because they have their own areas. That's why you see all the X's, the upright X's that are out there. They mark their land, they mark their territory. You know, I think they're more concerned with other Sasquatch or other cryptids in their space than they are us. They seem to tolerate us wandering in and out a little bit better than strange cryptids coming in and out. That seems to set them off a little bit more. I think with humans, they assume that we don't really know what all these markers mean, and we're just going to filter through. Now, there's a few places that I know that they've chased people off. They've never done harm, but they've chased them off. You know, if you go in there with quads or something like that, that's a little bit more frightening, and scary to them. There's been several instances where they've come out of the bushes and chased the person on the quad. Never done any damage, just, scared them enough to get them out of their way.
Right. I can see that happening. I can totally see that happening. So, Robin, with only 6 minutes to go, Robin Haynes is our guest tonight on the Cryptid Q&A. I'm very curious about contact. A lot of people are like, hey, I just want to see something. I want to see one. How would a person who, say, is not connected to the Bigfoot world really just, maybe looks at this subject as, I have to see it to believe it? How do they put themselves in a position to have something happen?
They really don't. Number one, seeing is not believing. Believing is seeing. They're high frequency being. They don't go through your visuals. They go through the energy feelings. So if you're going to make an attempt at it, instead of running through the woods going after them, which is only going to upset them and they're going to move away, go out, camp, have a nice night, have a campfire, sit around the campfire, maybe cook some food, laugh, talk, do your own thing. Let them filter in around you. And when you're laughing, when you're having a good time, it raises your frequency and your vibration. And for them, that's like a magnet. If they're around and they want to interact, that's the only way you're going to do it. But if you're going out there and it's like, okay, I'm going to see one today, like you're going out to see a deer, it's not going to happen. If they're going to let you see them, if they're going to get close, they want that connection. And the only way you can do it is through the collective consciousness. People get random sightings, and that happens now and then. And that's just pure luck. But don't chase them. Let them come to you. Give them a reason to come to you. You don't bait them. They're not deer. But have a campfire, laugh, enjoy your friends, enjoy your family, and that alone will bring them closer to you. And then that way they don't feel like you're coming at them. They're coming to you. And that way it keeps them in their comfort zone. And that way too, if you do have an encounter where you see them, generally, not always, but generally it's calm, it's peaceful, you have a sighting and maybe they turn around and leave or whatever. You go running after them in the woods and you're trying to chase them down. It doesn't always go well. You're now putting them in a position to have to protect themselves and their family.
How often are they with their family?
They live family every day. The only time they're away from them is if they have like groups that they'll send out to hunt. If they're going to send them, out for more than a day or just a couple hours to go hunt, they'll send some out and then they're gone for a few days and come back. There's some that, believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, they get sent out for training. They get sent out for meetings. They are a type of people. And I've had that happen where I've had certain core members of my groups be gone for like 8 months. And then the females and other males and the guards all stayed there, where I was at. And then 8 months later, they all came back. You know, they have their own culture. They have their own hierarchy. They have their own ways. They have their own laws. And they do these things that people can't believe they do. They do leave, have occasionally members will leave to do different training for different things, and they come back, or hunting parties, or they have to go for whatever reason, and then they come back. But they don't migrate, you know, and they're not, they're not an animal. They have more human ways than people realize. It's a different culture. That's what really messes us up, because their culture is not ours by any means. They have their own ways of doing things, and they don't understand our culture any more than we do theirs. You know, if you want to really get close to them, you study their ways, you learn from them.
We got about 2 minutes to go here. If you see one, how many more are around?
Oh my gosh. If you see one, you're guaranteed at least 4 or 5 more, I would think, if not more than that. And then also remember, these things are linked through the collective consciousness. They're all telepathic. So if you give one a hard time, it is a matter of seconds before you get everybody. And they will call all of the warriors, all of the guards, all of the big males, and they will all come in at one time. When they brought the baby to see me, you know, I just saw the female and she showed me the baby. And it was just a baby. I mean, it was tiny. And I knew darn well that if I would have acted inappropriately or done something I shouldn't have, that would have been it for me. I mean, it was definitely a test. But they're all linked psychically. They're all in the collective consciousness. So when one does something, the rest of them feel it. And then they're telepathic to boot. And it literally takes a second for them to get there.
Robin, thank you once again for always coming on the show at this time. We love it when you are here. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Sure. If you want services, you can find me at www.paranormal-empowerment.com. If you just have a quick question or want to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes, no middle initial.
You are the best, Robin. And
I love you guys.
It is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, because you're the one we always go to when it comes to the weird, the strange, and the anomalous. The one thing I love about you is you live in North Carolina and you've never been to British Columbia, yet you seem to predict everything that's going to be happening on our Flight 21 adventures. It always amazes me each and every week, Robin. So thank you very, very much. Robin Haynes, everybody, as we say goodnight to Robin. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Ball, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X. Hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio to Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right. Thank you, Robin. Hold on. Where are we here? she already left. Thank you, Robin. There we go. There we go. All right, we'll close this off. Good show, everybody. Good show as we're getting ready to head off to New York for WABC. Colin, how you doing? Who else jumped in late here? There's Beth. Thurston Howell III, how are you? NW Native Tracker, hope you're doing well, my friend. Fap, you're still highly unattractive. The ugliest blue ever is on the Dodger uniform. Just saying it. Tomorrow night on the show, say it with me. Merle. Merle. Merle it up, people. Because our main man, Merle, he's coming this way. Don't you worry, never fear. Merle will soon be here. Yeah. Take that one. Excuse me. All right. Merle tomorrow night. Thank you to T-Bone, Mickey, Walter, Jeff, Steve, Garvey, and Matthew for the super chats. I look forward to having you all a part of tomorrow night's show. If you haven't already, do us a favor. Tell a friend so that way we can grow bigger and better each and every day. And I'd appreciate it. Kind of helps out with what I do. And don't forget to get your tickets for CaribouCon. You got 1 month today before we get going on this. And we want to make sure that all of you are there having fun and enjoying the process of seeing all of our great speakers. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe you could get an autograph from Fap there, even though he won't be there. Hey, buddy, just wrapping up my show. Hold on. Yep. All right, boys and girls, time for me to get ready for New York. We will see you all tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.